maybe I should do to think of you inside prima donna, kind of merge them or something. But I'm stuck on the rhythm from that inside prima donna because I just had to play it a second So yeah, it's Greg, it's Low V.
I am here on holiday. Je suis ici en vacances.
That might be a little loud, so let me turn that down.
En vacances. Je suis ici en vacances.
Je suis ici pour faire. Je suis ici pour faire. C'est tout. J'espère que je vais plus. Je vis du monde. Peut-être forever. Au revoir. Je t'aime.
Is no time at all. That's just the time you take to wash your hands if you're doing it right. Also, as doctors are treating more patients, they're learning more about the disease and ways that they can help people self-diagnose earlier. For example, doctors are now saying that a loss of smell or taste can be a symptom of coronavirus. It's completely true. Yeah. So if you thought your husband's chronic farting problem suddenly got better, you in danger, girl.
So it's April 1st. It's around 11:30 p.m. Recorded two, flows with structure, and that's why I'm doing the special voiceover. You'll be hearing this on episode 14.
This Moranathon, the President of the United States also appears to be planting the seeds for a Get Back to Work movement. Trump had a virtual town hall meeting on Fox News today, during which he once again defied the so-called experts who say we're in this for a while. We're opening up this incredible country because we have to do that. I'd love to have it open by Easter. By Easter? That's in 2.5 weeks. Even Jesus is like, Jesus, calm down. Let's think this through.
As I wanted to explain flat tire. Also wanted to speak on my health, the situation that's happening, and also I wanted to explain what I'm doing, musically, what I've been doing, even from the beginning. So.
And they want one of these seats, but because of social distancing, we are keeping them empty, and they are keeping them empty. Will there ever be a time when all of those really angry people who don't like me much to start off with, but now they really don't like me, will there ever be a time when these seats are full to the brim like it used to be, where people are almost sitting on each other's lap? All he cares about is crowd size.
Let's talk about my health first. So I'm pretty sure I would test positive for coronavirus, based on, the symptoms that I had and the issues that I had, especially, there was one evening that was, the epicenter.
Of social distancing. In case you're wondering what it's like to get the coronavirus test, not that anyone can, a photographer for the Post and Courier newspaper in Charleston, South Carolina, shot video of herself getting through a police drive-through test, and it does not look comfortable. Okay. Oh my God.
That's almost 2 weeks ago, which is brings me to my next point, which is kind of scary. I've been really strong and kind of filling up myself, for about a week now. However, it's so specific, that feeling, whatever that is, call it the virus. It's still, I can still feel it, put it that way. I can still feel, and what's worrying me now, because I do worry, is that my chest feels tight, and and it gets tighter, and the worst thing is when I start to worry, it gets even tighter.
The Lord works in mysterious ways. In addition to prayer, one of the ways that we've been getting through this weird and difficult time is with music, listening to it, sharing it, making it, and we are very lucky to have talented friends who are kind enough to share their talents with us. With that said, it's time to go live now to one of our most talented friends who is at home in the great state of Please love you. Quietly love yourself to Dave Matthews.
Sorry, Dave.
You found me. I don't even know how you found me. I have cameras everywhere. I'm always watching you. We're going to get some stuff done around the house. Unfortunately, my kids also went into this with a thought, and that thought was, you are not going to get anything done around the house. So that's how it is.
So I place my stress there as well. So I just worry that, because I just don't want to. Yeah, I'm just not that tough, I guess. Experience, that kind of panic and that kind of. I've never had pneumonia before and those kind of things, so I mean, I shouldn't say those kind of things, but I've never had pneumonia, and that would be a frightening experience. So I just, as I feel strong and I've been self-isolating, for almost a month now. Maybe I don't know, maybe longer. Um, so I'm just hoping that
out and show my favorites here on this show or whatever the hell this is. And maybe we'll have a prize or something. I don't know. Some of our thickest-headed politicians have been passed. Tom Brady and those other guys would have led you to believe. Skip, nobody has ever won like this. But I believe two things can be true. You can have fun, know when to have fun. You can be serious, take your work, practice, meet, do all the things necessary that goes into winning, and have these two things work simultaneous. But for whatever reason, Coach Belichick does not believe that. He's convinced Tom as the leader of the locker room, had turned around and convinced all the other guys the only happiness that we can have here is at the end of the day, we win the championship. And if we don't win the championship, we should be miserable. And animal existence is adaptability. If you cannot adapt, you become extinct.
That I'm recovering, but you know, this thing is, you know, it's a pretty special situation, you know. It's a hard-hitting thing. So, you know, this is kind of the, you know, if you're recovering, it's still fighting hard, you know. It's definitely something that's trying to win, and that's how I felt that night. It was just something that was just so overwhelmingly determined to take me out. It was just thinking about it's kind of giving me that weird corona headache that I'm sure anybody that had it or has it can attest to.
To your levy point, I think he's going to let his levy just as important as performance. So he's saying we needed this guy to come in and change our whole culture.
With that said, I mean, I feel like like it could go. I guess my worry is that, you know, the sudden situation, you know, with the lungs and just out of nowhere in a sense, because it would be out of nowhere because I have felt really good in the sense, you know, relatively for the last, you know, for almost a week. And, you know, I've been playing music a lot and really happy with that, and I've been comfortable. But, you know, as I speak right now, I mean, I can feel my chest just tightening and
Get involved to that. And again, Bruce Arians said, by the way, that as soon as the season ended, $1 guaranteed.
And I feel kind of bad for Melvin Gordon. It's been reported that Melvin Gordon was offered even more money at the beginning of last year when he played for the Chargers. He was holding out, he refused to go to training camp. And apparently he was offered a lot more money than he's making now. And it's kind of sad because he should have just taken the offer when he had it rather than hoping I got paid more in free agency.
it's not like, you know, severe or anything like that at this point, but and I'm hoping that this is just, you know, doing the max it gets, you know, in a sense, you know, and then eventually, it's just not an all-day thing where with the chest, it's like it's happened, and you know, you know, like I said, it's like even when I'm watching something on that, it's like your mind focuses on that area, you know, you kind of bring it to it a little bit, you know. It's like that's why toothaches are really tough to deal with, because it's, you know, your mind is, it's hard to think around it, you know. So I find when my mind is worrying or thinking directly on the subject, suddenly I can feel, you know, I'm like acutely aware of everything my body is feeling, you know, and so anyways, so those moments are tough.
And man, I'm just happy and excited to watch the Denver Broncos next year. It's going to be fun. They're a franchise on the rise, and I hope people take notice because they are probably the second best team right now in their division, the AFC West. And the battle for second in that division behind the Chiefs is going to be really, really fascinating this year in 2020. In case you don't know, Strong Opinion Sports is not just a YouTube channel.
So the music has been fun. I know I have a lot of holes in my guitar playing, and in my music preparation and all those kind of things. And it's interesting. Most musicians, well, there's some that are, I guess, depending on who they're talking to or addressing.
The bill is much better than the bill that was introduced, and let me go over it so people know what's in it. Before I do, I want to give a shout out to the healthcare workers, the nurses, the doctors who are risking everything to help us. They are great. And just another little shout out. My staff did an amazing job on this bill, led by Jerry Petrella and Megan Tyra, a couple, and I thank them and all the staffs who worked so hard. Now, in the bill, there are 5 things that are greatly improved, and if we had a title for the bill, it would be Marshall Plan for
that play humble or truly are humble by in a sense the guitar is one of those things you really can't get to the top of and look down at. It's every generation of players, in a sense, proves that, in a sense, that it's just, there's no, boomerang effect with this, even though all the styles of old, dare I say, are inside of everything that we do today. So, but, I love, looking at YouTube and seeing these guitar players, and I love Marty Schwartz. He's one of my favorites. He's just a great guy. He's just so humble and he's just an amazing guitar player.
Since you're a millennial kid now, huh? I want her to be a little more competitive, and I like that she's kind, but I want her to want to lose or tie, and want me to feel better by winning or tying. So we're working on that. Yeah, my daughter's like the opposite. She starts crying when I'm even in the lead and shoots somebody. I was like, I don't want to do this. I go, this again. You might win. Come on. But it's so cute. No, Dad, you're doing okay. You're doing okay. You're fine. We're tight. See, we tight. Even though she actually
I dig in this guy, Wings of Pegasus. His name is Phil. He has a YouTube channel. I'm into his reactions. He's really sharp as far as breaking down other guitar players and other techniques and what their special qualities are and stuff like that. So I've been watching him a lot. I wanted to speak about Flat Tire.
Is it bizarre? It's incredibly bizarre and very funny and riveting and completing. Besides the shows, you did the live concert. Yeah, it was awesome. I loved it. I know a lot of people loved it. What made you? What inspired you to do that? I had a blast doing it. We, all of us are home, including artists. A lot of artists were supposed to be on tour right now. My tour is until the summer, but there are a lot of fans that are stuck at home and wish they could be out doing what they normally do.
And 1 second, I gotta go potty. Okay, so enough about, I feel healthy, I'm grateful. It might get tough, it might not, it's going to be tough, and it's going to be tough for other people, and it's pretty much unknown. I mean, I have thoughts and worries, I guess, that, what if you've seen our last NFL football game? Um, what if the world has been rocked that hard, that this life is, changes. Um, I don't like us picking on China because I think China is not someone you want to pick on. Just like you don't want to pick on United States, or you don't want to pick on England or Canada, or a lot of countries don't want to be picked on. So, and sometimes, so just got to be careful.
Get on their last report card. 9 times out of 10, they miss the majority of these questions. Seriously, does this mean they don't care or love their children as much? I bet it makes you wonder. But please hold your judgment. Here are the questions that my father clients can easily answer. If your son could be a superhero, what would his power be? What kind of monsters do your kids fear? How high does your daughter feel comfortable flying in a swing? What makes your son feel defeated? Yet, in my experience cross-examining hundreds of mothers in family court, these are the harder questions for them. Most of us know motherhood brings with it a sixth sense and an unspoken bond to our children.
You don't. The worst thing would be, all these self-quarantines would become some kind of golden memory, like, God, it was better when, self-quarantine, we thought that was bad, but this is, what I mean, it's like shit could be worse, I guess, and that's hard to say, but, so yeah, again, I was trying not to talk about that, but,
Seriously, and close your eyes. I'd like to ask you to feel. Think about your childhood. Picture your father. His smiling eyes, strong hands. Hear his deep voice. What did you love about your dad? Did he throw you high into the air? Teach you right of mothers, me included. But advocating for fathers isn't about diminishing mothers. While children deserve both parents whenever possible, this crisis is specific to fathers.
So music, I've been, what am I doing? Well, I'm gonna go back just a little bit. I've had I'm 51 years old. And it hasn't stopped my belief in athletics, and that's really weird to admit, and I know that's really weird.
Sadly, we've had this data for 30 years, and fatherlessness has only continued to rise during this time. The main contributors to fatherlessness are divorce and out-of-wedlock births. Every 13 seconds, someone in America gets divorced. That equates to almost 2.5 million divorces a year.
Talk about, silly dream or unrealistic or delusion. But the proof's in the pudding a little bit with me. Like, I feel like I can run faster than I ever could run. And I could run pretty fast. And that's due to some yoga-like type adjustments in my body. It's just different things that I've just explored, kind of more functionality exercises, and got results that were, where I was hanging on the basketball rim, running really fast and jumping up and getting the rim. Even though I did flick it a couple years ago, I did lose that, and then but running fast, however, that still happens. I can
dominate that game with their punter. Hunter Smith actually got moved on to another. I got hired because of Phillip Rivers and the Chargers, basically.
every now and then I just kind of, it's like a car. Every now and then I hit the pedal and sprint a little bit, and it's really weird. It's like my body can't even keep up with how fast it's going in a weird way. Like my legs feel like they're gonna fall off. So with that, I thought, and I just wanted to experience just, the how the, the stacked odds against me. I wanted to experience that with, this older confidence that I have, and of course I would be prepared. But my goal was, and I'm rambling totally, I called it MCB 365, and it was a workout based slogan, I guess. So MCB 365, which was, I was inspired by a post from this girl that I'm in love with, and she posted something like, what if every day for a year you just gave it your best, one of those kind of posts, and where would you be, just 1 year, just try it for 1 year,
That was in my fourth year in the league, so that was really kind of my coming out party. I mean, that got me over the hump as far as you can expect me as a player, because I was young, on the road in Cleveland, plus we did it in a big football game.
And I thought, well, let me just give that a shot, and I soon, in a sense, failed. And the 365 was that I was going to work out like Rocky 7 days a week, and not overdo my body. I understand, not to do that, but that seventh day, or I'm cardio, or I'm stretching, I'm doing yoga or something like that, twisting or something. Anyways, that started off pretty strong, but I started giving myself 100 push-ups or 50 push-ups is enough to call it a workout, and then that would turn into a yoga stretching session was a workout. And so but I didn't stop, and it wasn't, I decided I wasn't going to quit, because there was a,
Answer the question time and time and time and time again. And the question was, will your career be complete if you don't win a Super Bowl? And that's really the only thing that was ever brought up, was the fact that we never won a Super Bowl. And so from 1990, after we've been to the last Super Bowl, until 1998, that's 8 years. That's a lot of times being asked that. That was obviously the perspective that the media was portraying to the fans. And so, I mean, I understood it. I just wanted to remove it.
it wasn't as epic as I was imagining it would be. So anyways, so I started that on my birthday when I turned 50. And then, so as I was getting ready to turn, as I had just turned 51, and before I turned 51, I was coming up with my year with MCB 365, and the goal was that I was going to, that winter, start, going to those open tryouts, and just, of course, being judged and all that, but just going for it. And I was going to maybe try baseball first, or maybe baseball and basketball, but I have some really holes in my basketball game that I know that I would need to fix. And baseball could just be maybe kind of an amazing recuperation, call it, that I could just go out there and see the baseball and hit it, and hit it hard, and that's would something that that I was hoping that would be the case. But anyways, long story short, or long story is still long. As I was approaching my 51st birthday, and looking back at my effort, you know, I wasn't Rocky, I wasn't Kobe, I wasn't that special. Other than I was, a gym rat and playing basketball a lot, and but it just wasn't, the epic workouts that would produce the athlete that I was imagining I would, that I would have to be to play, semi-pro baseball or semi-pro basketball or anything like that.
And that's really hard for me to see. I've got all these thank yous, and I'm not going to most is the difference between the highs and lows on Sunday night, and I was fortunate to have a lot of highs and enjoyed that time either on the plane or dinner. Probably once in our lifetimes, certainly in mine, there is a player that becomes so important to us and so much our hero that his number and his name are synonymous. There'll never be another number 7 on the Denver Broncos.
So, and I was deciding at this point I was like determined to still do this. So I was reaching 51, and I was like, well, am I going to make the commitment again and just, one more year? And this time, I'm going to step it up, and that's was the goal. So I turned 51, and then and I did what I started off strong. I had 2 weeks, a little bit less than 2 weeks of great workouts, and I was starting to step it up, and I was getting ready to get heavy again. And I took a shift in Sugar House in Salt Lake City. I normally work in Park City, and I get a ride up there, and I get a ride home, and I was with my friend Eric, someone that's instrumental in my musical birth, I guess. So I just took the tracks to this location, and it happened to be like the first couple of days of snow. And there was still snow on the ground, and spots, pretty much mostly melted, but there was like banks of snow everywhere, not everywhere, but some places. So anyways, I'm walking to work, I have my coffee, I'm ready to go, I have my lunch, and I see this ice, and it's like the first snow, and I haven't slipped on ice in a long time, and I know to be really, gentle sometimes, when you're walking on the slope or something like that. So this was a little patch of ice that had a little slope, but there was, just a little patch of ice that I would need to step over, and then I would be on the parking lot and of Skechers, and so I just put my foot gently on my left foot on the snow, and I guess I lifted my right foot, and then the next thing I know, man, it was pow! My head was like a little, what's the word, like a pendulum. I mean, it's like it just slapped. It just snapped back onto the curb, the icy curb, and it was the most intense collision I've ever had. Most intense head trauma I've ever had. I had a huge bump, swell up on my head, and I pretty much, I can piece it together now, but I pretty much had lost memory, or just spatial, or whatever it's called. The next thing I remember, I'm sitting in the back of the Skechers in this chair, and I was just by myself back there, and there's really low light in there, and I just didn't know how I got there.
Inverted fifths, and what that means is, when you're used to power chords, and let's say you just do an A5 power chord, which is an open A string, and then a second fret of the next string. That's a common sound. But
Long story short, I got a concussion that day. I never went to the hospital because I've had a concussion before, and I know it's pretty much, MRIs don't really show, what a concussion, concussions aren't really, they're symptoms orientated, you really can't see them. And if there's brain damage or whatever, and all those kind of things, you would know about it in a sense. I guess that's a chance I took. Anyways, that changed, it changed a lot for me.
if you were to just invert that and basically keep this D string second fret pressed down, which is E, and then play the A here above it.
Talking a lot longer than I expected, because, well, first of all, the concussion took about 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe. I think it was only 2 weeks. I think it was, a solid 13 days. So it happened on a Monday, and I didn't go back to work until, not the next Sunday, but the following Sunday. I believe that was it. Or it might have been 3 weeks, but it was 2 weeks. And the concussion lasted. It's funny, I can't remember so much now, the discomfort and what I was feeling based on, all the stuff that's happened since. But
On the G string second fret, you get the same idea, except it's inverted. So now instead of having a root note as the open string and a fifth interval here, we start with the fifth interval and then we put the octave above it.
But the long story short is that I took those 2 weeks off, and then I got back to work, and I was at 7-Eleven, and literally within the first hour at work, I trip over some register cords that had been accidentally stowed outside, where my feet were. And I just got my foot tangled in there, and I just couldn't believe it as it was happening. I was like, I can't believe this is happening, and literally in slow motion it felt. My legs were tangled in this cord, and I kind of was racing back to grab some cigarettes for somebody, and I'm just falling to the ground, and I'm thinking, I can't hit my head right now. And now I'm remembering that concussion was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. I was just on the floor, just enduring it, basically. Pretty much, I was, of course, worried. But anyways, so I was, definitely just getting over that, and so I was like, don't hit your head. So I landed right on my shoulder, and I just felt it move like it shouldn't move, like it gave out in a weird way, and I was like, oh no. And you know how things are when you first heard it, you can kind of still do things, and that's what I did. You know, I finished my shift. We had a shipment that night. I was moving things, carrying things. That night, it was starting to hurt really bad, and then the next day, I couldn't even move it. I couldn't even move my shoulder. It just was like stuck in there, painful. You know, that slouch. You know.
Gives you essentially the same idea, just a different side. So,
And the thing that really worried me was that I don't have insurance, and then, I was just daydreaming about, playing some kind of semi-pro baseball and in some small, town, and making the same amount of money that I'm making at 7-Eleven, and that's was kind of the dream, it was just like, just to live a little bit and do something a little bit odd, as an athlete, and that's, so I had to reconcile that kind of right away, like I was just stepping up the weights, and I was just kind of getting the body that I would have to believe in this, endeavor. And I was just getting there within the 2 weeks. I had, recommitted to my MCB 365, and then so I hurt my shoulder, and that was a big guessing game, because I was just like, oh no, did I tear my shoulder? And I just don't want to go into my older years now with a bad shoulder, and just have it like start, falling apart. It's like with a car, if you let one thing go and then another thing go, and the next thing you know, you have a junky car. So my body has been held up pretty well, kind of preserved it, and I just didn't want to have a bad shoulder, and then I just didn't want the chain to start that soon, especially, with these goals I had. So this kind of comes back to my computer situation, but I gotta go potty. One sec.
that's your smoke and the water thing too. Alright, so here's the difference in sound. Open A power chord.
So one would think that I've been spinning my wheels for the last few years, which I have been. Definitely from the perspective of making movies. I don't know. This is like it was one of those failures for me, that was so rare, at least in my mind, that I just kept on trying and trying again, like, this can't be happening, okay, I know how to do this really well, and so it's just a matter of, okay, this one will do, okay. And the thing is, the truth is, it's like, editing is a whole nother side to things, and truth be told, it's the technical. Not only is it just, creative, and you can just kind of imagine, this here, that there, and I want it, to be this loud, and crescendo into this, and all those are creative, but all, and when it comes to editing and post production, it's also technical, and even I thought, based on what I've worked on in the past, worked with in the past, I just felt like even Final Cut Pro, or these editing systems today would, could deliver something, and they can. So I've delivered something that can get to the next step, and that's all I was looking to do with these movies that I've made. Not necessarily hoping that I could sell them, or just outright, finish them and showcase them and sell them. That would be awesome. But I've always liked finding that finishing company, and it had been my experience when I very first started, and that's how I kind of approached the movies I was working on. Like, okay, we just need to get these close, and then someone like Fox or someone like Samuel Goldwyn will come in and give it the proper deluxe sound treatment, poster treatment, and their expertise will take us to the next thing.
Inverted fifth power chord. Now the cool thing about the inverted fifth power chord is you can move it around a lot.
So that was kind of my goal with movies, and I work, and it's easy for me to say this, but it's just truth. I mean, I work literally 12 hours a day would be, the average, or the normal, the short day, call it. But I would work until I couldn't work anymore, so it would be, sometimes over 24 hours in a row just sitting there editing. And I edited so much. I mean, there was times I had atrophy in my leg, and that's one of the issues that I had, and that's one of the issues that caused me to run faster as well. So it's weird. But anyways, I had atrophy in my leg at one point. I looked down, I was like, oh my God, I've been sitting in this chair for way too long. Okay, so yeah, movies, computers. I'm surrounded by all these old computers. And I have a newer one with the Windows system on it. And then I have my 2006 iMac. That's an amazing computer anyways, it hasn't worked. It works intermittently, and it's worked for a while. It works for months at a time now. And there was a time when it was sitting, it wouldn't work at all. I would turn it on, it just would work for like 5 seconds, and then the mouse would freeze, or the computer would freeze. And I was using it for editing, Final Cut, and I was using it for GarageBand, and it just wouldn't even. So in a sense, it was broken, and then I had it just kind of, if I ever had the money, maybe I'll have it fixed, kind of thing. Just kind of kept it around, and then one day I just plugged it back in, and it worked. And then it worked for about 4 months. I was writing a lot of scripts on it. Wrote Happy Days, wrote Anna's screenplay, The First Dance. I wrote all the Shred Girl on that computer, and it was so much more because I was also transferring files from my old Windows computer from that Trevor Maviano helped me build or buy and all that. From way back in 2000. It has Cowboys and Angels on it, and Slow, Poor Ted is on that computer. But I have so much writing on that computer, I just wanted to transfer it to this other computer. So I still have so much to do with that. So that computer's still in my room too. But anyways, I have 2 G5s, and those were the things I was working on Roxy with, and Lucky Juliet, my wedding videos, and those went down on me at very inopportune times.
entire French population of Acadia, with the area becoming the provinces of New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island. Today, many in the maritime provinces of Canada and even in the New England region of the United States still identify as Acadian, while those who migrated further south to Louisiana became known as Cajuns. No way, this is rolling this ran and over 3 decades ago. For the most part, tensions have somewhat cooled, and the once fiery zeal for independence is dying down. But anyone who has recently visited Quebec or met an individual from the province can tell you that their rebellious attitudes concerning the federal government and the rest of the English-speaking world is still very much alive and well. Out of all the territories and provinces of Canada, polls have shown that Quebec is the most opposed to integration with and generally has the lowest overall views on the United States. Not too surprising, seeing how France also tends to have some of the lowest views of Americans in all of Europe. But in all seriousness, Canada in the past century has had a much more tolerant atmosphere on linguistic minorities than their southern neighbor, as during World War I and II, the German language was nearly suppressed to extinction in the American Midwest and Central Texas, and during the 60s, many Francophone communities in Louisiana and New England saw a new enforcement of the English language in their towns.
March 26, 8:30 p.m., 9, around that time. So, I have this Windows computer and I'm having the issue working with all my footage because all my footage is stored on my Mac hard drives that my Windows computer won't read. And my 2006 iMac, I'm only using it for GarageBand at this point because it stops working. The computer typically works for like a few months and then all of a sudden it doesn't work. And then you turn it back on and it doesn't work again. Well, it works, for like a few hours this time and then it stops. And then, you wait a little bit, couple days, and then you turn it back on, and you work for a few hours, and then it stops. So at that point, that's when I realized I just need to stop using that computer. And for some reason, I let it sit there for a couple months or however long. I turn it back on, and I can, it works for days and versus hours, sometimes months, and so it's just, I take it as I did get it. So anyways, I've been working on this. I had only been dedicated to working on this new Windows computer that I had. I had just gotten just barely gotten Premiere loaded onto it. I've had the computer for a while, but I've only recently got an editing program on it. So I was getting ready to, try to figure out how to, get my footage from my Mac hard drives to my Windows hard drives and get going on that. And then in the meantime, I was working on some wedding videos, and then I was looking through and I was organizing my Windows hard drives from way back and just kind of seeing, doing what I can with this Windows computer. Because most of my stuff, like Lucky Juliet, Roxy, and any of those movies, Happy Place, I couldn't access them. I couldn't work on them. Luckily, because I would have raced into one of those for sure. And just been knee deep in editing, and maybe I'm just not ready for that yet. So anyways, so I was just, just kind of maintaining my computer, Windows computer, and just kind of getting used to it and learning with it. And again, my goal was athletics, so it was just like, and guitar, I was going to, I was playing, acoustic, I was just sometimes electric, but mostly acoustic for about 45 minutes, an hour, sometimes longer, and sometimes, multiple times during the day. But I was really happy with what I was doing on acoustic. I was just like, I still have, something to say on guitar or whatever.